Hello, Puckheads. It's your buddy Chop It On coming at you with an NHL version of Chop Talk, brought to you by the one, the only DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things DFS related. NFL, NBA, NHL, we've got it all. Contents, tools, and coaching. What good are the tools if you don't have the coaching to teach you how to use the tools and teach you where to look? We're interested in making your game better. Every single day of the week, any single sport you play, you go to the comments section, click the link, become a VIP, DFSArmy.com. Click the code CHOP or use the code CHOP, C-H-O-P, for a 10% off discount. Get in here, get into our coaching forums today. Start asking people like me questions. If I don't know the answer, I can tell you who does. Let's make you better. If you see us on Twitter, you're always seeing us post our shots of our winners. We're not just in double ups and things like that. We're interested in also teaching you how to win GPPs. We do a lot of damage across the industry, no matter what contest we play, no matter what. We'll teach you bankroll management. We'll teach you contest selection for your game, all that stuff. But that's all stuff you have to take a leap of faith on yourself, and you have to come in, invest in yourself, and become a VIP. DFSArmy.com. Let's dive into the hockey version today. You look back through my YouTube channel, click like, click subscribe. You'll get all the notifications. And you saw an NFL video today that was box checkers. I'm working on a similar system for NHL, but the boxes aren't as clearly defined because I can't go back and back test all of the history and all of the what worked and what didn't. This is just what generally works, and this is just what generally makes sense. It's not strict box checking like home team implied to score over this. No, it's not like that. It's just kind of understanding a little bit more of the nuances of the game of hockey and diving in accordingly with matchups and things, and who should theoretically have the better chance at putting up some points. I got to be honest with you. Results are the bottom line in this business. So you're either putting up fantasy points or you're not. And variance is a bitch. Great, big, forgot my anniversary bitch. I'm telling you, when you go in to the hockey games last night or the other night, and you're watching Winnipeg skate up and down the ice. Patrick Laine comes in. You rostered the guy. Boom, beats the goalie dead to rights over the shoulder. Goalie didn't even see the puck coming and hits the frickin' crossbar. Cost you 13.6 points on Fanduel right there. Bam. 13 points you should have had, but you ain't gonna have. That's hockey. And hell, if you had the guy who passed the puck up to him, that's 21 points you should have had that you don't have. That is tilting, but that's hockey. That we just understand it's inherent to the game. We can make all the right calls, be in all the right places, and still end up with crap at the end of the night. That's just the way it is. Your goal in hockey is to target the correct offenses and the correct players within the offenses. Shake up the Yahtzee Cup, roll the dice out there, and deal with whatever comes out of the Yahtzee Cup. That's hockey. I'm going to show you the research station today and walk you through a little bit of what I was looking for. I'm trying to find, as the season wears on, these L10 numbers are going to start becoming more important. We've now got 8, 9, 10 games under our belts, most cases. Once we get into 12, 15, 20 games, we need these L10 numbers to tell us. We'll use the season numbers as a baseline. We'll use the L10s as a who's hot, who's not type of baseline. These babies also split off the road teams into the road splits and the home teams into the home splits. That's another good thing. I don't do a lot of head-to-head, don't believe much in this team's owned this team in the past 10 times, blah, blah, blah. That ain't for me. But what I do look at is the goals per game and the goals allowed per game, and are we up or are we down? In this case, I'm something like 0.3, 0.4 goals per game, not a big deal. But we get over half a goal per game, you're starting to get significant. You get to a goal per game difference, you're running hot, hot, hot. When I look at the record, 82 games, 2.5 goals scored per game by the Canadians. Right now, they're scoring 3.2 over the last 10. I'm marking a check mark next to their name on my piece of paper. I write all this stuff down. I've got Montreal at Buffalo, and I've got a check mark next to Montreal that tells me that Montreal is running hot. If I put an X next to them, it means they're giving up more goals than they should in a significant way. When I run over here and look at Buffalo, I don't see anything. See the 2.4 and the 2.5? Nothing. 3.3 and a 2.9, that actually almost deserves an X. Buffalo is playing a little bit better defense right now than usual. Okay? That's how you're going to interpret that. Especially at home, though, they've given up more goals in the last 10 games. But that road games is still going back into last year a little bit. Don't know where those goals precisely came from. It's just something worth noting. They may be giving up goals at home lately. When I look at the Nashville Predators, goals for, 3.18, goals 3.5, getting close, kind of running a little warm. 2.4, 2.2, suppressing defense a little bit. Nothing spectacular. 2.96, 3.4, kind of. 2.93, 2.3. Yeah, probably. Probably worth an X in New Jersey. In fact, I look at my piece of paper and I have one written down. So Nashville, it's kind of a little negative bump to whatever projections they might have to their matchup tonight because they are, they're okay on offense, somewhat hot, but they're running up against a team that's playing good defense as of right now, and that's worth noting. Scroll down to Philadelphia, 3.04, 3.5. There's a check mark for Philly, running hot. But look at this, 2.88 and 3.7, especially 3.7 at home. Yikes, that's almost 1. It's what, 0.92, something like that. That right there is a big old X. That means that Philly is giving up goals like crazy. If we look over here at Boston, and we see that Boston, 3.26, 3.3, not a big deal. But at home, holy crap. They've been scoring in bunches at home. They've been scoring at home. Philly's been giving them up on the road. Hello, positive matchup. Something you'll only find at DFSArmy.com. Not saying Boston's going to score 8 tonight, but I'm saying if they score 5 or 6, do not be surprised. Because you see the indicators right here. We're hot, we're not. Pretty simple stuff, right? 2.57, 2.6, so pretty standard stuff there. Columbus Blue Jackets, 2.8 on the season, or over the last 82 games. 3, not much, but on the road, they're scoring some goals on the road. 2.76 and 3.9. They're also giving them up on the road. That gives me both and especially here, the 3.7, that's big enough. That's a full goal. So that's telling me check mark for the away splits and X for the away splits, both. Scoring them and giving them up. That puts St. Louis in a pretty tough spot. They better be on their defensive game, but they might get some soft goals coming back on the counterattack. 2.7, 3.1, maybe, probably not. That's not much of an uptick. 2.7 to 3.5 in their last 10 games. 3.1, they're coming off a longer road trip. 3.1 at home. So you could expect the goals for on the road, Columbus, to run up against St. Louis and maybe keep that streak going. St. Louis isn't showing enough pop offensively for me to really take advantage of this, but I will make a note of it. I will also tell you that St. Louis's road splits are better than their home splits. They're kind of like the Calgary Flames in that they don't play very well at home. I will be on Columbus tonight. I'll be looking, but I need to see a good scoring line that's scoring a lot of goals. So put a pin in that one because we might come back through it. I don't want to see some cold line and then automatically say, hey, well, they might score a lot because no. This is the box checking concept. I want to see a team that is scoring goals going up against a team that is giving up goals. I want to see a hot line in the offense scoring the goals, probably a cold line giving up goals in the defense they're facing, and I want to see all the stars line up. That's the box checking. If I see it, then we'll move forward and we will really like it even more. If we see another check mark, we'll like it even more. If we see another check mark, we'll like it even more. LA Kings, 2.46, 2.89 per. Not much there, not much there. Well, I guess they're giving goals up. So that puts Minnesota in a good position. When I look at Minnesota, though, not much difference going on over here. So not exactly hot. It's not something I'm going to flock to. The matchup's not so great. Anaheim, nothing much going on here. Dallas, nothing much going on here, honestly. New York Rangers, look at the given up goals. The homes, you can see the given up, 3.21, 3.9 on the road. That's an away X. Given up goals on the road. Given up goals at home. So really and truly what we're looking at when we come to New York Rangers and Chicago, that's already your first potential shootout indicator. We're giving up a ton of goals on the road. We're giving up a ton of goals at home. I'm looking for hot offenses. Don't necessarily see hot offenses in scoring terms. But, well, I guess I could see some here in Chicago if I really wanted to look for it. 2.7, 3.4. Okay, 0.7 goals. It's over the 0.5 threshold. So maybe you give them a little check mark there. And that would definitely lead to this. So maybe we play Chicago tonight. Pittsburgh. If I look at Pittsburgh, there's not really a lot of discrepancies in here. I look over here at Calgary, watch this, 2.6, 3.9. 3.2 is a 0.6, but 3.9 is a 1.3. 1.3 goals per game, higher than their average over their last 10 games. Hot. Definitely somebody that I would look towards if I see that on the road we're giving up a few more goals than we usually do. That's a hot offense running up against a cold defense. Give me all the loving. In fact, I'm putting the X on Pittsburgh right now. The away X. I get all this on another sheet of paper so that I can look at it from a helicopter perspective, because I've got interpretations of this stuff, but I can't really, type all over this page and write all my notes in there. I have to do it on a side piece of paper, and I need to be able to see it. Washington and Edmonton. Washington, 3.1 versus 4.2. 3.9 on the road, definitely hot. 2.9, 3.6, probably get the X as well for giving up goals. Washington is vulnerable on both ends of the ice. But we don't really see much here in goal scoring that we're after for Edmonton. Not super exciting, unless you think that McDavid's going to just slash them apart. You don't see a ton in giving up goals, but there is a little bit of a bump there to the goals, so that would lead towards goals from the Washington team, even on the road. Then I run up to Vancouver and Arizona, and I really don't see much that's really worth chasing until I start looking at other factors. So let's dive into the next sheet that we're looking for, which would be the teams, the core teams and their stats. I'm going to go through and rank goals for, goals against, shots for, shots against. And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to rank them all and write them side by side. And I can tell you things like Arizona 31st in goals scored, 29th in goals against. 29th is pretty good, actually. It means that they're not scoring goals at rank 31st. It means they are not giving up goals in 29th. So I'm looking for ones on ones, twos on twos, 18 on a 3. Stuff like that is going to give me bumps, going to give me things that I'm going to get excited about. Check marks in my boxes, if you will. And what I'm seeing right now is I see Boston facing Philadelphia. Boston 10th in goals scored, Philadelphia 2nd in goals allowed. That's a good spot for Boston. Columbus Blue Jackets 19th in goals for, St. Louis 8th in goals allowed. That is a decent bump for a middling team right now in Columbus, but it's a decent bump facing a top 10 weaker defensive team. St. Louis 16th in goals scored, facing Columbus 4th in goals allowed. So that's a bump. When I see Columbus getting a bump and St. Louis getting a bump in goals for, both of them, and I see Columbus allowing goals on the road, if you wrote that down, I see some factors lining up for a possible shootout. I won't be surprised if a shootout happens in that game tonight. LA Kings, nothing. Anaheim, nothing. New York Rangers, nothing. Chicago's 4th in goals for and 5th in goals allowed. So that's another one of those Washington type situations where they're scoring a lot of goals, but they're also giving them up. But it's too bad that New York doesn't have much right now to really match them, other than kind of middling to good, top third-ish in goals allowed. So Chicago might be in a decent spot offensively tonight. New York might be giving up enough goals that Chicago can stay hot. We know Chicago's scoring more goals lately. We saw that with the check mark and the X's discussion. Pittsburgh 3rd in goals scored, facing 15th in goals allowed in Calgary, so that's not terrible. That might keep them strong. Pittsburgh's a top 3 scoring team, and Calgary isn't necessarily some great defensive unit. They're not really a sieve, but they're not a great defensive unit. Another potential shootout because Calgary's running really, really well with that 1.3 goal differential over the last 10 games. Washington, top scoring unit, facing Edmonton, 9th most giving up goals. So that's a good sign for Washington. Not so much in that Edmonton's only scoring 24th most in goals, even though Washington's giving up the 6th most. I do the same thing for shots on goal too, and that's where things get a little bit different. I like to see it as extra confidence. I like to see the shots on goal line up with the goals being scored. That tells me the shots are productive and they're working. I don't like seeing Arizona 31st in the league in scoring goals, weakest of all the teams, and then 5th most in shots. That tells me they're pumping on goal a bunch of bad shots. It tells me they're due positive regression. We've seen that a little bit lately, but it doesn't get me necessarily super excited. Even though Vancouver's 12th in allowing shots, which means that that's a good scenario. Lower numbers are better. It's a good scenario for Arizona. Arizona should keep pumping shots on net tonight. But Vancouver's 14th in goals allowed, so it's kind of middle of the road. It's not like they're really terrible. I look at Montreal gets a shot boost. Montreal 7th most in shots and Buffalo 13th in shots allowed. I look at the LA Kings. LA Kings are 28th in shots on goal. They're not pumping them on. But Minnesota's given the second most in the league, so LA has no choice but to surpass their average shots per goal or shots on goal per game. The problem is they aren't really getting a lot of results out of anything either. I don't see them exploding for 10 goals tonight or even 4 or anything like that. I'm not going to be focused on it with all these games that we're looking at on the slate. The shot bonanza is going to be New York and Chicago. New York Rangers 9th in shots, 5th in 9th in Chicago's 5th in shots allowed. So when you've got a top 10 team going up against a bottom 5 team or whatever, the scenario is, that's just telling you that New York should see a bump in their shots on goal tonight. Conversely, Chicago's 4th in shots on goal, and New York Rangers are 9th in shots allowed. So it's the same in the opposite direction. We might be flying up and down the ice just cranking shots on goalies. It doesn't look like any of these pansies want to get in the way of a puck in these games and block any shots. But results-wise, Chicago is scoring. So if Chicago gets a bump in shots on goal and they are putting biscuits in baskets, then you're probably set up for a decent night. I'm actually going to put a little square around Chicago right now. I'm going to put a sneaky little circle around St. Louis and Columbus. Probably going to put a little square around the Boston Bruins tonight. These are the places that I'm looking as of right now. Pittsburgh and Calgary. Calgary gets 18th most shots. Pittsburgh allows 4th most, so that's a little bit of a bump for Calgary. We already know they're running hot. Circle around that game as well. Washington, not really anything in terms of shots there, but they are a powerful offense. Probably put a little square box around them. So what I've narrowed it down to places that I want to target: Boston, Columbus, St. Louis maybe, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Calgary, Washington. So I've already cut it down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 offenses out of all of them that are on the slate tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. 10 games, 20 offenses, and I'm only looking at 7. The rest are dead to me. Unless there's just crazy value screaming at me, which I've got an example for you here in a minute. The next thing that I do on this left wing lock site is I go to the skaters and I go to line production. And I check the third game or 3-game sample size for the forward combos. And I'm looking for who's hot. I want these top 10 teams. I want to see if anybody's playing tonight. Nashville's hot. Arizona's nice. Arizona, this is funny. This line got broken up. Stepan's still on it, but this line got broken up. I come down here. Stepan's on this line too. So really and truly in the last, say, 3 games, the Stepan line has scored 7 goals. It's pretty freaking hot. And to be honest with you, with Fisher and Perlini, Kroos and Keller being different in this, all of a sudden, bam, Stepan's the common denominator. Stepan's a great one-off. That's the example that I was just telling you about, where we've got a team in a game that we're not really interested in, but there's an overwhelming one-off in it. Stepan is hot right now. This shows it right here. Don't need to even look any further. And he's probably pretty cheap because Arizona sort of sucks. St. Louis, there's some heat there. There's a little bit of heat in Pittsburgh tonight. These are just the kind of things that you can look at. I will then go to the forward combos against. I'll open this one up a little bit to 25 entries as opposed to just 10. I'll go to the goals against, sort it by that, and I'll start looking down this list. Calgary should be on there twice. Thought they were, guess not. But 8 goals in 10 games for the Monahan line, worth a target. Boston, worth a target, worth targeting against, worth counting on the guys they match up against getting a goal on them. The object in these teams put these guys together isn't for defense. These are their offensive lines. Their offensive lines don't give a crap about defense. So you look for a couple of things. You look for line 1 at home, which would be 2 on the road, because with the home ice advantage thing, a lot of times the 2 comes off the bench to match up with the 1 because the home team's too busy trying to match the 1 up against the 2 or the 3 on the other team. So the counterattack there is that the second line actually gets the weaker defensive line in somebody else's barn. So you look for those scenarios. Who's going up against the Boston 1 at home? Who's going up against the Calgary 1 at home? Pittsburgh's 2 would be getting this. That's the Malkin line. The Malkin line is actually running a little bit hot. We saw that in the last graphic. So that's a good spot for the Malkin line. Now, here's the thing. The Malkin line's also giving them up. So if the Malkin line's going up against the top Calgary line, there's your line matchup right there. Try and take Pittsburgh 2 and try and take Calgary 1. Hope for the shootout. Probably got them matching up against each other, and that's where the goals are coming from and being given right now. That's a good matchup. That's how you find these scenarios that help you target the odds-based production on these slates. If I ran this slate as of today and was able to run it 100 different times, these teams are going to perform. These lines, these players are going to perform. It's that simple. But it's hockey, and on any given night, they might fall flat. Whatevs. Do it over the course of 82 games in a season, you're going to have some good nights. That's all that really matters. So you're trying to get some good nights in there, about one out of every, once a week, once every couple of weeks. You're wanting to get fairly deep into some GPPs. That keeps giving you a shot, lets you know you're on the right track. If you need more coaching like that, more encouragement, more advice, more discussion, that's what the VIP program at DFS Army is about. That's what you're getting involved with. We're talking hockey all day long inside the forums. We're talking football. We're talking basketball. We're talking golf. Whatever sport you like, we're talking it. And we're going over these numbers, and we're spotting these things, and we're arrogant, egotistical bastards, so we're sharing our knowledge like idiots. Why should I educate my competition? I do so because I love giving back to the community that's given me so much, that's taught me so much. We're a bunch of like-minded people. We get in there together, we knock heads a little bit, and we come out better for it. Our games improve. We have a few credible leaders in every single room that we listen to that have a little bit more weight to their opinion than others, but everybody's opinion is valid. If you're a researcher, get in here. This is the kind of place for you. DFSArmy.com, coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. Very simple. When I'm looking at the lines that are producing, I look at Buffalo 1, I look at Arizona 1 with Stepan on it, Nashville 1, Columbus 1, Pittsburgh 2, Calgary 1. Pittsburgh 2 is on the road. Columbus 1 is on the road, but Columbus's road record has been great lately. Nashville 1 is on the road, so you might shy away from that one. Buffalo 1 is at home. Calgary 1 is at home. Those are the types of scenarios where those guys will do well. I'm going to go over here to these goals against and look for liabilities. Nashville 1 is also a liability. Right there. Giving up 4 goals in their past 10 games. A little bit of a liability. Who do they match up with? Well, that would give the New Jersey 1 or the New Jersey 1 at home or the New Jersey 2. If they decide to try and attack the Nashville 2 or 3 with their 1, they would then have their 2 left over for the Nashville 1. Okay, that's confusing to talk about, it's confusing to say, but you hear it enough times it'll start to make sense. The liability is the Nashville 1. That's who you would attack if you're going that route. It'd be GPP only. There are not enough factors going for New Jersey tonight for me to want to target them in a 10-game slate. However, when I look at the Philadelphia situation, Boston's scoring 10th most goals. Philadelphia's given up 2nd most goals. Philadelphia 1 is a liability. Boston at home gets to target that if they spotted that. Boston 1, Boston 2 probably in play. Boston 1 is a liability. So the Philly 2 should be in play, being on the road. They should be getting the Boston 1. Wayne Simmons maybe. One-off. These are the types of scenarios that you learn the more you pay attention. Columbus 1 is going to maybe get the St. Louis 2, because if the St. Louis 2 tries to attack the Columbus 2, foolishly, because Columbus 1 is their liability, then the St. Louis 2 is going to get attacked. They're the ones that are the liability for St. Louis, and then the Columbus 1's running hot. They're going to run right up against them. Good spot for Columbus 1. Circle that line. Chicago 1 is a liability. I don't know that I want to attack them with any Rangers, but that would give a bump to whoever is facing them on the New York Rangers side. The game that looks like it's got the hot line and the cold line at the same time is that Pittsburgh 2 going up against the Calgary 1 and the Calgary 1 going up against the Pittsburgh 2. That's a very saucy game. That's probably where I'm going to try and take the majority of my skaters. That and maybe a little bit of Columbus 1 in St. Louis, maybe some Stepan for salary relief. Maybe, this is generally where the slate's breaking down and where it's showing me it wants to go. Hopefully you're following along. Hopefully it's been 25 minutes. Hopefully you're still with me. I can check these things on starting lineups pages. I can come to Fanduel Fanduel's stuff on what I like doing on RotoGrinders is kicking into the season of the last 4 weeks. the per game totals, I've cut down the filters and cut all these useless stats out. I don't need plus minus, penalty minutes, power play. I don't need that shit. Just give me the goods. Games played, goals, assists, shots on goal. Really all I care about is this right here. I could run on just this column alone. I sort by it, and then I come pumping down this thing looking for out-of-place prices. All these high guys should be up top. Duh. Okay, Sagan, 7.7. It's up a little high. Palmieri for sure at 6.3. Patterson, if he wasn't on concussion protocol or IR or whatever the hell he's going on. These 6K guys are attractive. They're up here in the blue section where the 8 and high 7s and the 8s should be, but they're the 6s. Their price hasn't caught to their production yet. Would I consider a rattle off? I don't know. Dallas isn't in a great spot tonight. I'd want to see some indicators working for me. If I was going to roster somebody that's not in one of my games, my preferred games. My preferred game, look at Boston up here. That's expensive, though, but look at him. Look at Ovechkin. At the very least, I'd want some access to Ovechkin. See, I could maybe get a TJ Oshie and then run Pasternak and Bergeron. Come down here a little bit. Patrick Kane, nice, kind of a chalk pivot, but we already mentioned that Chicago's in a decent spot. 4th most goals facing 12th most allowed, 4th most shots facing 9th most allowed. I mean, pretty good spot. Look down here, Kuznetsov might be some cheaper exposure to Ovechkin. Why do you think his totals are up so high? Correlate him with Ovechkin double down in a GPP or something. Come down here, Carlson, pick him up too. Run that line. Carlson, Kuznetsov, Ovechkin. See ya. Go find some value. And I've got myself right now 25, 22, 47, 22 more, 69 points per game right there between the three of them. 69 points per game. Give me 20 for my goalie, and I got 89 points. I'm halfway to stomping you in cash games, and I've only used 4 players to do it. If I'm able to find the right kind of line to counteract that, or the proper one-offs here and there to afford it, and still have some kind of floor with shots on goal and block shots and things, I'm trouble for you right there. I am trouble with a big old T. Malkin, not a bad spot. Letang. DeBrincat. Dude, it's a good price for him. In the blue at 6.4. 6.4. Almost in the blue. 19.93. I'm coming down here. Now I'm looking for even cheaper guys. This is where the 6s and the 7s are going to show up. If I see an 8, he's overpriced. Sorry, Phil Kessel. You know, an 8, Jamie Benn. Sorry, Jamie Benn. Come down here to mid-7s, Guerreau. Sorry, Guerreau, you're a little overpriced for what you're getting me. You know, I can see a 5.8 in Ryan O'Reilly. Not terrible if they were in a good spot. Come down here. A lot of times you'll see some of these guys pop in here that'll really be random. So we'll keep looking a little bit, see if we can't find. There's one, Chase on Edmonton. Only 2 games, though. Never mind. Small sample. That's why I keep games played in there. Small sample. Keep going. Totter. Montreal. 15 points for 5K. It's a 3x value multiplier. 4.9K. Nice little one-off. Where's Montreal? Guarantee he's on the top line. We've been using him quite a bit inside DFS Army. Totter. 1-1. Power play 1, top scoring line. Ba-bing, ba-boom, ba-bang. Our problem tonight, Buffalo's allowing the 22nd fewest goals against. They are allowing some shots. So the floor is there to get yourself a few cheap points. Knock one in, and you're golden. That helps you get to Washington. If that's what you're wanting to do, is go on pure production. Scroll down here a little bit more. There's another Montreal and Petrie I just saw. So there's your correlation, Petrie and Tutter. Petrie's on the 1 and 1, the first pairing and the number 1, and then boom, Tutter. Boom, boom, out of there for under 10K. 4.3, 4.8, 8.9, 9.2. 9.2K. 2 players getting you what? As of right now, in a decent matchup, getting you 15 and 14 and a half. So 29 and a half. 29 and a half added to your 80. Now you're at 109 and a half. And 5 players and a goalie. You only got a couple more to go. You just need a couple of these guys to spike some goals. And so we're looking. Those are the 2 cheapies on the slate that I would be running to first. Byron, if I wanted to complete the stack for a cheaper line. Vince Dunn in St. Louis, not terrible. You know, 3.7K, 14 points. It's a pretty good one-off. You might want to write him down. He serves on the first power play unit as well, top defensive pairing. Now we're starting to get down in here in a little bit more suspect territory. But this is all I'm doing, is I'm going looking for out-of-place salaries. Does that make sense? Out-of-place salaries. Trying to get as many guys in my lineup that are up in here as I can that are in positive matchups. I do all that work to find the positive matchups. I do all this work to find the guys that are out of place salary-wise. And these are the primary tools that I use to do it. If I want, I mean, I'm looking here for the last 10 type stuff. Here's another thing. We've back-tested these goalie projections. The goalie projections are pretty doggone good. Going back over the past couple of years. They're telling you to play Niemi at 7,300 on Fanduel, 7,400 on DK. Okay. I'm not going to be taking any Buffalo skaters anyway. And as luck would have it, I just marked down off of my main sheet here, this today's games sheet, because I said Montreal 14th in shots, in scoring, 24th in goals allowed, 27th in shots allowed. 24th in goals allowed, that's good defense. 27th in shots allowed, that's great defense. And Buffalo, 26th in goals scored, that's bad. 26th in shots on goal, that's bad. So Buffalo can't shoot, can't score. Montreal's playing good defense. Hello, goalie. And it just so happens, ba-boom, top projected goalie on the site. I mean, what else is there to do? This doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't even have to watch freaking hockey. You just have to understand enough about the numbers and a little bit of the correlation to put some stuff together. So I've got Montreal coming out with Petrie, coming out with Tutter maybe, and then I'm going to turn around and go Boston 1, Pittsburgh 2, Calgary 1, Washington 1, wherever else I go from there. I got a shitload of options. Run them in cash, run them in GPP. And here's the big fallacy for you. And we can wrap it up. Well, I'll show you one more thing. The fallacy in hockey is because it's so volatile, I need to play this lineup in cash. No, if you do that, you're not being smart. It is so volatile. No. Because when you score goals, if I have a line stacked and I've got the Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Carlson line. And I got goal, assist on the power play where Ovi does all his damage. Then I picked up 13.6 for the shot and the goal, 8 and 8 for the assists, 16, 13.6, 29.6. 29.6 points. Do you think that's going to jump a few people on the leaderboard when 200 is a phenomenal score? It is more than 10%, it's like 15% of my scoring on one play, and it vaults. A 15% boost on a great night vaults me past just dozens of people in a tournament. So if I'm going to get a couple of those goals or a couple of those scenarios in a night, I better not just be playing a 50-50. And when Ovechkin can get me a freaking 4 on the night for his price, he just two shots, 3.6 points, didn't score anything, didn't have a good night. It's hockey. Everything went wide. They didn't get credit for the shot on goal. Goalie made a kick save outside the goal crease, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I am screwed. When my punt that Petrie can put in 2 goals at 4,300 and Alex Ovechkin at 8,900 can score me 3 points. Petrie can get me, 30. Ovechkin can get me 4. The channel of production is too wide in this game to be thinking about cash safe versus GPP type players. Bullshit. They're all the same. I will tell you there are more that have a steadier floor. There are more that factor into bigger pieces of their offense every single night because they don't have depth on their lines, etc., etc., etc. But generally speaking, the cash versus GPP scenario in hockey and baseball is greatly devalued. And it's overvalued by the rest of the industry. Stop doing that. Put yourself in a 50-50, in case you have a good night, and put that same lineup in a GPP or something bigger in case you have a great night, because you don't know when that's going to happen. The other thing that I'm going to try and look at here real quick is these little scoring things. As the games come by, this sheet's going to start becoming more important. I can take shots per game on the season stats, and I can sort all of my guys descending by that number. Once they sort through, I've got all of my shooters towards the top. I can see who blocks shots. See, like these guys down here, Josie shoots and blocks shots, good floor. Seth Jones shoots and blocks shots, good floor. Clefbaum shoots and blocks shots, great floor. Those are cash type guys. If you're going to play in your cash games and build a cash lineup, I just don't build cash lineups. The cash principles in hockey are spread out. Don't stack one particular line. Don't overexpose to a certain game. Instead of really concentrating and trying to get the Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Karlsson, maybe take Karlsson and get out of that game. You know, maybe take Kuznetsov and Oshie and get the top line and the second line worth of scoring and then overlap on the power play where you've got your exposure to Ovechkin. Things like that, where you're not concentrating your risk, instead you're spreading out. That's a cash principle. But I don't build that way. I'd rather go boom or bust since it's such a boom or bust sport. You know, I will do a little bit of that when I'm not really gunning after, GPPs, when I'm just trying to stop at 100-mans and whatnot, because cash lineups, cash type lineups, when you're focused on spreading out, whatever, they can still go bang. Okay, so again, these are the things we talk about. We figure out what your playing style is, what contests you should be in, and where you should go. The last 10 games compared to the season stats, when I sort by shots on goal and monitor the blocked shots, I can watch the blocked shots over the last 10 games, and I can watch the shots on goal per last 10 games. Ovechkin, 4.3 on average, 4.6 now. Guess what? He's running hot. Power play goals, 2.1 per game, 0.5 right now. He's producing. He's running hot. Okay? That's how you find that. I put the small sample next to the big sample, and I watch the small sample go above and below the big sample. When it's above the big sample, I like the guys. When it's below the big sample, I'm off of them. They're overpriced. They're not producing. They're cold, whatever you want to call it. But I can monitor that. And then, of course, when they're hot, I want to make sure they're also in a good matchup tonight. I want to make sure they're not going up against, the 1985 Chicago Bears on defense that don't allow any points. I want to make sure they're going up against a sieve, somebody who's just letting pucks in nets like crazy, like there's nobody even standing in the goal. Or like the goalie's a little girl and he's afraid of the puck. He's getting out of the way of it instead of getting in front of it. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to, that's another box I check. Again, I don't care necessarily home and away. I mean, I do some, but I'm looking for a lot of shots. I'm looking for you running above your season average on the short term. I'm looking for production. I'm looking for you facing a crappy team. Check, 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 check. If I check all of those types of boxes, I'm going to love you. If I only check half of those boxes, I may take you if you're cheap or I've got nothing else to choose from, But I'm more focused on trying to find all of those guys that are checking all of those types of boxes that mark up good situations. Hopefully this helped you. Hopefully you see where we're going tonight in NHL. Hopefully this encourages you to become a VIP and get this type of advice for everything. Obviously, 40 minutes. I'm sorry. I'm trying to point this stuff out to you. I'm trying to teach. If you stuck around, thanks so much. If you become a VIP, thank you even more. If you already are a VIP, I love you. Come back. We'll do it again here in a couple of days. Don't know that we'll get to NBA today. It's only a 4-game slate. But again, check back earlier and find my NFL video. Hopefully this screen sharing stuff helps you. Hopefully you guys get a lot out of this stuff because we keep doing it and I love doing it. I love talking to you guys. Take care and we will see you guys when we see you.